setting up your first ride. What do you need to do? What do you need to remember? Maybe we've got some hints and tips. So we're going to run through and we're going to show you the things that I tend to consider when I'm putting a ride into my park. I'm going to jump into rides and we're going to select the free flyer. So we're going to place this just away from where we currently are in the park. Sit that down nicely and we've got an entrance and exit. Now, I'm going to probably place these around the back so that it doesn't interfere with the aesthetics of the park. And the exit, you probably want to place somewhere so guests can get quickly back into your park. But if you're looking at having the ride repaired quicker, you probably want to put it near to this box. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place it about here. And I am going to set up my queues. You can change the style of your queue. You can also set lengths. So all of this can be done to help you speed up the process. I'm going to pick this queue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this queue around the outside. Now, I'm going to put a bit of a longer queue than normal, just so I can demonstrate how to do priority passes. But I'd suggest that you obviously keep the queue to a length that suits the ride. The length I've currently got is probably more closer to what you'd have for a small roller coaster rather than a little ride like this. So what I've also done is I've linked up the exit. So that path is built into there. And as you've noticed, a little member of staff has appeared. They will greet our guests as they come into the park and queue for this ride. Once the entrance and exit are all linked up, you have the ability to test your ride, and we're going to set that going testing now. I tend to leave the ride testing whilst I work on improving my prestige level and my queue scenery level of the ride. Now, as you can see, our queue scenery is 0. This is not great. We need to try and maximize this as much as possible. And with doing that, we'll also bring up the prestige a little bit. Now, one more thing that I tend to do initially is set up the priority pass queues on my rides. These aren't essential, but if you want a special pass that's going to allow you to get a bit more income in on your park and give guests a way of skipping those big queues on your most excitable rides, this would be the way to do it. So once you've gone over to the cog in the menu, selected your priority pass, you will have the ability to place the entrance. Now, you're going to place the entrance as close as possible to the main entrance of the queue and the exit as close to the end. Now, because of the way this path is structured, I'll probably struggle to get a nice looking path, but it'll allow me to demonstrate how we do it. So once I've placed the exit, we're then going to link those up. What you want to do is you want to make sure that this is a lot shorter than your normal queue, thereby giving the benefit to the customer that they can skip the queue for the low price of, I don't know, say $10, whatever you set your priority pass to be. So we're going to link that up, and there we have it. Super easy to put priority passing in. And what will happen now is a guest will come here, they'll see this member of staff first, and they'll start queuing. When they get to the arrows, if they've got a priority pass, they will take this shortcut, and then they'll be greeted with this member of staff. Now, what this member of staff will do is that they'll feed in the number of priority passes sort of ratioed with the people in the normal queue. And if you want to change that, so if you want your priority pass on your ride to be more or less beneficial, you can go back into the cog where you enabled it, and you can change the priority. I tend to put this on high just because I want my guests to get the most value out of the passes. But just bear in mind that that might make people think, you know, this ride requires one, and we don't want that. Now, as you can see, we've still not set any scenery, and what I always like to do is try and segregate the two queues. So if there's a person stood in the queue over here, they can't necessarily watch the people over here queuing really quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the scenery menu. Now, you can choose a whole host of different things, and depending on the theme you want to go with for your park, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the scenery section here. I'm going to go into these scenes. And some of these are already preset. So we could have a nice little Wonderland theme. We could have sort of a medieval theme or a fairy tale theme. Now, the fairy tale theme and the medieval theme work quite nicely together because they're both fairy tale, but one's just a bit extra than the other. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the tents, and hopefully, if I've left enough room, which I'm not sure if I have, let's try rotating it slightly. So you can snap rotate. Yeah, this might just about fit. Okay, so we can snap rotate, and then what you can also do after that is you can jump into advanced rotation modes, and then that'll enable you with the left analog stick to get that perfect angle. And then you can jump back and use the standard movement controls, and what we're going to do is try and make sure that it's as close to our cues as possible, but not necessarily impacting them. Okay, this one looks pretty good. So we're going to place this here. And what we want to do is obviously that's a bit of scenery nice for the people in our priority queue, but not so great for people that are in our normal queue. So we're going to put a bit more scenery around the outside. And let's have a look at this one. So we're really hitting home with this theme now. We're going to try and align this nicely close by, and what I'm going to do is jump into that advanced rotate again, just so I can get that nice rotation here. Now, as you can see, some of our scenery is overlapping, which we don't really want to happen. You see how the front scenery, let me just move it slightly, is interacting with there. We don't really want that to happen, so what we'll do is we're going to move it to here a sec. We're just going to come out of these menus. What we're going to do is we're going to go to edit this building, click edit, click the pieces that we don't want, and we're going to get rid of those. So we're going to get rid of this one, and we're going to get rid of this one. Now we took them out of the set, so if we then click on the building again and we go down to move, now our scenery will fit in better, and it's not going to crossover with the scenery we've put in the middle section. So we can get this nicely set up here, and you're getting a bit more of a feel for it. You've got the whole tent vibe. It doesn't matter which side of the queue people are in, they're going to get a nice view. So that's quite nice there. And then we're going to go back into scenery, and we're going to put some stuff around the opposite side. We kind of want to keep this feeling going, but potentially we could get a few more pieces in. So we're going to put this one, and we're going to use a quick rotate, and we're going to put this one here. Now what that's sort of saying is that is the entrance to this area. Welcome to this theme, and we're gonna put that right in there. Now you don't have to always use pre-selected scenes. There's a whole bunch of other things you can use, but purely to demonstrate it, they are the fastest and sort of the easiest ones to place. So we've set up a lot of scenery around our queues and our ride now. Let's have a look if we've made any impact. So if we reselect it, as you can see, we're now at 2.5 stars. Our procedure's gone up and our queue scenery has gone up. So the more you do this, the higher you'll get it, and you can get it to max out to 5 stars and 100%. It's a little harder on rides like this because it's sort of just round and small, but the more time you spend on it, the more time you spend practicing laying out the scenery, you'll soon get the hang of it. Now, just a couple little tricks that you can do which are quite cool is if you jump over to the path section, if you want this to look like it's on the grass so it fits your theme a bit better, if you change the path to either the natural path or the well-torn path, and then you actually click on your ride, then it'll take out that base that was currently there and sit it on the grass or whatever kind of ground you have at the time. So it's just a little thing. I mean, maybe you want it, maybe you don't, but it's just good to know that the ability to do it is there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to open this ride and we're going to check to make sure that all our queues are working correctly. The one thing we've not got in this park, because it's sandbox mode, is a information terminal. So I am just going to quickly drop one of those in. You can find them within facilities, services, information. And we're going to go for the fairy tale booth. It's kind of the scenery we've gone with throughout the park. Rotate that in and we'll put that right next to the entrance. The reason we need to place this in is this is how you get your priority passes. So your guests will come to the information booth and they will be able to purchase them here. Now, just to demonstrate it, we're going to jump in and we're going to drop the price of this down to 0. Just gives more chance of a couple of people jumping in and picking one up. So they now have the ability to pick up the priority pass. We have our ride, we've got our queues, we've got our priority pass queue, and we got some scenery. There's a couple other things to do when you're creating a ride. You click the ride itself. As you can see, we've been working on these stats, but you can come in and you can change the price of the ride. So you can bring this down and up. So let's just set it to $7.50 for now. What will happen is your guests will likely feed back on the price of the ride saying it was worth it, or it's a bit expensive. But the more prestige and the more you improve sort of your queue scenery and stuff like that, the more they'll be willing to pay for the rides because they feel like more prestigious, better rides. Also in here, you'll be able to find the entertainment ratings and nausea ratings. You can do tests on these and you can improve these by adjusting your ride, the speed of your ride, sort of if it's a roller coaster, how many like dips and curves and frill elements you've got in it. So these are kind of the main ratings when you're trying to improve and make a ride a bit more exciting and attracting. But just remember, not every guest wants frills and spills. Can obviously come in here, change the color and how the setup of it all is. Advanced, we've pretty much gone through the main area of that, but there is another menu here. Now, for long-time fans of simulator games, there has been this ability to half-load and preload rides. I tend to, if I'm honest, put this on full unless I'm really struggling to get people on the ride, and that just maximizes how many people are in a rotation. It will make guests wait longer, but you can adjust the wait times as well. So if it gets to a certain period, it's still not full, it'll go anyway. Within the maintenance tab, this is where once you've got a mechanic in your park, you have the ability to get him to come and check how sort of his schedule and how often he's going to check the rides. And if it's needed, request him to come and double check it right there. And you can also set work roster for different members of staff too. Now, as you can see, our park has started to populate a little bit, and we've got some people queuing for a priority pass. So what we're going to do is we're going to click one of these people. We're going to come down to this camera and we're actually going to follow them and see how long it takes them to get on our ride, because the queues have started building up now and we want to make sure that, they've got that priority. As you can see, they're checking out the scenery, seeing what it's like. There's a couple people in front of us and we're coming into the queue. Now, we've got that priority pass, so we don't have to queue in the big queue and we come into the smaller queue. Of course, there's still people in this queue because more of our visitors have got those priority passes, but we are skipping the majority of the queue and coming right up to the front. What we'll do is we'll just jump out for a sec and it'll reset us there. But what we're going to keep an eye on this queue here. And as you can see, the lady we're following is here. And we're going to see how long it takes her to get on the ride, considering she's just bought that priority pass. So as you can see, the actual balance of guests coming in, and she's already in there. She's like very close to the front of the queue. It looks like she's going to be going on the next rotation. And she's not had to queue throughout this large queue. So I'm sure she's finding the benefit of her priority pass right there. And that's sort of the basics of setting up a ride. We've demonstrated on a small ride like this, but the fundamentals are the same. You want to build your ride, you want to build your entrances, your queues, set some scenery around them and try and improve that prestige level. If you do want to have priority passes within your park, that has been covered as well. And yeah, I hope this helps some of you create your first ride, and if you've noticed any hints and tips that have helped you in here, then yeah, give me a shout. But thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you again in the next one.